This is Debbie, and welcome to another brand new episode of The Offbeat Life, where I speak to inspiring individuals who ditch the norm to live their best life and become location independent. I am so excited to highlight another amazing innovator from Johnson & Johnson. This week, I speak with Kate Merton, who is the head of JLABS. JLABS helps entrepreneurs and technologists get their amazing ideas and products to patients and consumers that needs them. Because of Johnson & Johnson, Kate and JLABS are able to assist innovators by providing space to work, receive mentorship, and connection with investors. Listen on to find out how Kate and JLABS help nurture entrepreneurs so they can make a positive impact in the world through healthcare. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm here with Kate, who is the head of JLABS. Hey, Kate, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
Can you fill in the gaps of your story and why you live an offbeat life?
I live an offbeat life because I am passionate about working in the area of healthcare, and the best way to do that is being in the thick of innovation.
Can you tell us what you do and what is JLABS?
So I am the head of JLABS on the East Coast of the U.S., and JLABS is the innovation incubator arm of Johnson & Johnson. So we exist to help entrepreneurs and technologists out in the world get their wonderful ideas and products to patients and consumers that need them. And we do that by providing them capital-efficient space, mentoring, education, and connections with investors.
How has JLABS been able to really promote and help people in the healthcare system?
JLABS, being part of Johnson & Johnson, comes with a wealth of experience in the healthcare landscape. That means that when entrepreneurs come in and they're trying to understand the best way to navigate and actually develop what they have, we are able to connect them up with experts within the company and tell them how they need to navigate moving forward. And then in addition, we're able to use our social media and our relationships with the external world to make sure that they're provided with funding and the understanding of kind of getting from one stage to the next as they develop. It really is a benefit to the entrepreneurs we've found having such a large corporation such as Johnson & Johnson behind them when they're going through the what is often known to be a tough period as an entrepreneur.
How do you manage to find all of these incredible entrepreneurs to actually join you at JLABS?
That is a great question because the entrepreneurs truly are incredible, and to find those that really have a passion for what they're doing and have a great idea is not the easiest thing in the world. And at JLABS, we like to make sure that we hold the bar really high. So how we do that is we use our quick-fire challenges that put out requests for proposals around hot topics of interest, and we have a number of applicants apply to J&J through that competition. We also develop networks within the ecosystems in which we developed, and as of next year, we're going to be in 13 different JLAB spaces. So we develop applications through that mechanism, and then we also make sure that we develop relationships with local academics, and we just kind of like get out there and go to speaking events.
Now, can you give us some examples of the actual innovators and the entrepreneurs that you have hired who have made great impact?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you about a couple of them. So the entrepreneurs that join us, they're actually independent companies, so they're not hired by J&J. JLABS is actually a no-strings-attached incubator, so they will rent space from us, but they don't actually kind of give us anything back in return. And a couple of those that have chosen to join us in New York City, which is one of the sites that I cover, one of those is Certidose, and that is a company run by Dr. Caleb Hernandez, who's an emergency room physician, who developed a really ingenious way to modify the current syringe that we all use to dose our children. And he did it in such a way that he has been able to drastically reduce the number of missed dose incidents of children, which is sort of amazing and was kind of like the holy grail in the pediatric space. So we're really excited to have him as part of JLABS, and he is actually a quickfire challenge winner. And then another company who also won one of our quickfire challenges is Invisogenics. and that is run by Dr. Maria Luisa Pineda. And what they do is they use artificial intelligence in combination with understanding the biology around RNA splice variants to find new targets to help treat human disease. Those are just a couple of the amazing entrepreneurs we have within our space.
Those are some incredible things that they have done already. And because of JLABS and Johnson & Johnson, they've really helped these innovators and these entrepreneurs get into this sector so much faster than if they just did it themselves. So that's really amazing.
Those are just two great examples, and it is such amazing to be part of it and watch their journey and get to interact with them on a daily basis.
Your hands are in a lot of different types of jars when it comes to JLABS. What are you most passionate about at your job?
The thing I'm most passionate about, I think, is when you see someone come to JLABS and they have this amazing idea and they've got a little bit of money to get them going, and you can kind of see before them that there's quite a few potholes that they're going to need to jump over to kind of like navigate along their pathway. The most passionate thing I am about them is kind of like holding their hand as they have to jump that pothole. Like sometimes they don't even know what they don't know. And at JLABS, we're able to say, okay, we think you might be coming up against this kind of barrier, or this is the pothole you're going to have to jump. Let me connect you up with one of our internal experts. And I just find it really gratifying when, you take an entrepreneur who's kind of like scratching their head and didn't know what to do next. And you're saying, hey, here's this amazing, knowledgeable person, and they can really help you. And you see that company move forward. And when you see them continue to navigate and they raise their funds, and then they actually come up with a product that can change a person's life, that is just an amazing thing to see. That's what makes me passionate about being part of JLABS.
It's pretty amazing the job that you do, because not only are you able to help entrepreneurs really make their dreams come true, but you're all really also trying to save the world. So it's like putting a cape on every day when you're doing this.
That's one way to look at it. I'm going to tell my daughters that I put on a cape every day when I go to work.
And you're trying to find more like Superman or Superwoman every day who are trying to change the world, and you're a big part of that. So that's a really incredible job that you do.
I'd say I'm really lucky. And one of the most amazing things about the entrepreneurs that we connect with, they are so humble and they don't even know that they're superheroes. So I think another great thing about being part of JLABS is you help people understand that, they've been having such a tough time trying to drive something forward, but really they're doing something so amazing, and it really is to our benefit to kind of like stand back and help them get it done. The entrepreneurs are amazing, and sometimes I don't think they know how amazing they really are.
It's also really interesting because as the public, we usually see what's already made, right? The products that are made and the things that have happened already, but we don't see the back end of it, the blood, sweat, and tears that all of these entrepreneurs and you guys have gone through to get the perfect product to give to us. So that must be really incredible to see as well, all of the different failures and the setbacks that happens before it actually becomes perfected.
Right. And I think that, we always talk about that it's not so much a failure, it's a learning opportunity. That sounds really trite, but it is unbelievable how true it is. And one of the things that we've done at JLABS is that we have a mix of entrepreneurs. We have a mix of entrepreneurs who this is their first time out, this is their first idea, and they're trying to navigate their way. And then we have other entrepreneurs who've been there before. They've kind of learned from their own opportunities. They've had those difficult times. And the best thing to see is when those experienced entrepreneurs actually turn to the ones who it's their first time out, and they're able to help them along the way. That's another part of being kind of JLABS, is the ecosystem that we build that the entrepreneurs themselves enjoy, just interacting with each other.
So, Kate, what has been the biggest setback that you have encountered so far, and how did you handle it?
I think the biggest setback is often when we opened the site in New York in June 21st of this year. And, you think, okay, there's a long way to go. We've got a big runway, to try and get there. And it is amazing as you come to that D-Day of trying to get things done, how many things don't quite fall into place. There might be issues operationally with maybe the ductwork doesn't go so well, or there may be issues with getting kind of the finalized legal contract in place. But I think the way that we've done it, at least this is how JLABS does it, is that you kind of like, you reach out to your team member who's been there before, and you just work really hard to push forward and get it done. It's definitely not an army of one, it's an army of many. And I'm really, really lucky to have a solid team there, like led by Melinda, who's done this before. And so whenever I've come across a setback, I've kind of reached out to my colleague and they've helped pull me through.
It's really incredible the teamwork that you all have there. When I was there with a few other people at JLABS, it was incredible, all of the different things that they were doing and how everyone loved being there and how much help they were getting as well from different experts to actually get the products that they wanted to put out. So that's really incredible, all of the knowledge that they have in their hands because of what Johnson and Johnson is doing.
Yeah, that's so true. I always, I feel very lucky every day that I get to walk into JLabs, and that's where I work. Not only is like the coolest place to hang out, but it's the people. I always like to say I'm surrounded by people so much smarter than me who are there to do the right thing. And then with regards to sort of the entrepreneurs being there and what they get out of it, I mentioned before, sometimes they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that big issue that's about to pop up in front of them. And JLabs really is unique as far as incubators go because it is the only one with such a global reach that has got such a backing of all these knowledgeable people. So even before they come across a problem, we'll be able to say, hey, in 6 months, you're going to need to know about this. Let's help you and think about it now. So it's an inspiring visually place to work, and it's also inspiring because of the people I get to be there with.
Absolutely. It's like having so many mentors already. And when you're starting something so difficult in a lot of ways because you're trying to save lives or you're trying to help innovate some product that's going to be out in the public, that's a really great thing to have in your hand.
It truly is.
Kate, let's fast forward to 50 years from now and you're looking back at your life. What legacy would you like to leave and what do you want to be remembered for?
I always say, I have 3 daughters, and I always say to them that if I am not home with them being a full-time parent, I need to be out there in the world doing something really meaningful. It has to be a really purposeful thing that means I'm not at home. And I would like to look back in 50 years and see that I have kept my promise to my daughters and that I have worked in an area that is impactful beyond me, beyond them. And I truly think that healthcare is that it impacts every person on the planet. And if I can help in just some small way, someone who is much smarter than me, kind of carry that dream out and have an impact on humanity in the healthcare space, then that is what I'd like to be remembered for.
That is a great thing to be remembered for. And like I said, you wear that cape every day, an invisible one, right? Going into work. And I'm sure you bring it back home when you're taking care of your daughters as well. So, Kate, how are you able to balance your work in JLabs and J&J and then also coming home to your girls?
I am just incredibly lucky. Not only am I lucky that my daughters seem to be well behaved, but I have an amazing family and friend system around me, and my daughters really understand that I have to take time away from them to go and do something as important as working with Johnson & Johnson. So I think it's a case of having support around me, some pretty strict time management going on. And, I think it should also be mentioned that Johnson & Johnson is one of the most amazing companies to work for if you are a working parent, not just a working mother, but a working parent. They go above and beyond making sure that we are able to balance, what we need to get done at home and what we need to deliver at work.
That's one of the things that really stood out to me when we visited Johnson & Johnson headquarters and also JLabs is that everyone just loved working there. And it wasn't just because they were saying it. They've been there for so many years. It's like a company that you go to and you never leave.
That is true. I have worked there altogether for 13 years.
What has been your biggest success in this field and how do you stay motivated to continue with your work?
So I would say apart from, being part of a very small part of the JLabs story, the other thing that stands out was when I was lucky enough to be part of the development team within Janssen, which is the drug company of Johnson & Johnson, being part of the development team that was working on a product called canagliflozin. And canagliflozin was actually approved by the FDA for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. And again, it was one of those situations where I got to work with people far smarter than me. I got to see them truly do amazing things to make sure that a much-needed therapy made it out to patients. And I think the day that the FDA gave us that positive vote so that we knew that drug was going to get out, there has to be one of, the most gratifying things that I've ever been lucky enough to be part of.
That's amazing. And you're changing people's lives because of that. You're part of that.
Yeah, for me, it was incredibly important because one of my parents actually has type 2 diabetes. So I felt like every day when I was working on this, I was kind of doing it for my mother too.
Is there any question that you wish people asked you more of?
I think one of the things that I always wish that, well, people actually ask me it a lot, but maybe they could ask me, is like, how did I navigate to where I am? I'm always really passionate about helping other people navigate their career journey. And I think there is so much to be learned about how different individuals made their way. My career path isn't kind of a particularly regular one. I've taken lots of detours, but I've ended up exactly where I feel I was meant to be. So I think that is probably a question I wish I was asked even more than I already am.
Kate, before you came to JLABS, what did you used to do?
So before I came to JLABS, I actually had a role in disruptive innovation where I worked in the areas of blockchain and artificial intelligence strategy. And then prior to that, I had roles in marketing, business development, research and development, and by training, I'm actually a pharmacologist. So I used to spend time in the labs, doing those experiments and working with chemists to try and come up with drugs.
That's why you're so passionate about it. And you've led like 1,000 lives already before you've gone on to JLABS.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels that way.
So what are you currently working on today that's really exciting to you?
What I'm working on right now is the Health Tech at JLABS program, which is a new pilot program that we've just started and will be running for the next few months and hopefully into the future, where we're trying to concentrate upon the needs of the technologists who are coming into healthcare. Sometimes the needs they have is quite different to someone who's developing a molecule or a drug or even a device. The technologist needs a different set of kind of educational programming and mentoring from Johnson & Johnson. So I'm really passionate about getting that up and running and making sure that we're delivering to technologists what they need so they can start working with consumers as well.
That is really exciting. Now, Kate, if our listeners want to know more about what you're doing with JLABS, where can they find you?
I always say that people are more than welcome to stalk me on LinkedIn. They can come find me through the JLABS website, and they can also reach out to me on Twitter.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kate, for speaking with us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been a joy. Thanks so much for asking me.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Kate. To get more information about JLABS, make sure to visit jlabs.jnjinnovation.com. Hey Offbeat family, I really appreciate you listening to this episode. I would love to hear more from you and what you think of the podcast. Suggestions on guests, topics we can discuss, or maybe you just want to be friends. Why don't we chat some more on Facebook at The OB Life, or send me a message at hello@theoffbeatlife.com. I can't wait to hear from you.